Lesson 29. Earth is getting sicker.
Warm-up dialogue. Littering is belittling our planet.
Hill, let's take a walk.
Okay, Dad. Where are we going?
Just down to the park.
It sure is a nice evening.
Yes, it is. A bit chilly, though.
Oh, it's not too bad.
Maybe I'm just getting old.
No, you're not. Would you like part of my candy bar?
Hey, don't throw your trash on the ground like that.
Aw, it's just a candy wrapper. Everyone does it.
I said pick it up.
Oh, all right. But it's just a little piece of paper.
It doesn't matter. We all have a responsibility to keep our neighborhood clean. If everybody threw trash on the street like you just did, can you imagine how ugly and unhealthy it would be?
Okay, I'm sorry. I won't do it again, I promise.
Good. While you're at it, pick up that empty can, please.
I didn't throw it there.
I know you didn't, but sometimes we have to clean up after other people too, you know.
Questions. 1. What did Hillary throw on the ground? 2. What did she have to put into the trash can? 3. Why did her father tell her to pick up the can? Pictures talk. One. Question number 1. One step toward preserving the earth is to walk short distances instead of using transportation. Are you willing to walk? How far? Question number 2. What do your parents think about gas prices? What do you think about raising the cost of gasoline to encourage saving fuel? Question number 3. Bigger cars emit more pollutants. Is that reason enough to get a compact instead of a sedan or SUV?
2. Question number 1. Do you use soap and shampoo every day? Did you know they can hurt the environment? Explain how. Question number 2. Are you willing to use eco-friendly products even if they are a lot more expensive? Discuss your answer. Question number 3. What do you think about reducing the number of showers you take in order to protect the environment?
3. Question number 1. Have you ever been annoyed by some noise? What were the circumstances? Question number 2. Do you think mobile phones are major noise pollutants? Why or why not? Question number 3. What noises do people commonly make in public places?
4. Question number 1. What would happen if we cut down all the trees in the mountains? Question number 2. Do you think we need lumber in order to build homes? Question number 3. Should you be forced to pay for planting trees in areas where yellow dust comes from, even if they are in foreign countries?
5. Question number 1. Why do you think glaciers are melting? Answer in detail. Question number 2. What will happen if icebergs continue to melt? Question number 3. What can we do to stop it?
6. Question number 1. We have been warned about a lack of drinking water in the near future. What are the causes in your opinion? Question number 2. Can you imagine wars breaking out over water? How is that possible? Question number 3. Talk about how we waste water every day. What can we do to conserve water?
Answer me. One, small steps.
Have you ever heard the saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step?
No, what does it mean?
It means that if we want to accomplish something important, we have to start by doing simple, easy things.
Okay, can you give me some examples?
If we want to save energy, we can turn off all the electrical gadgets at home for an hour every day.
Or we could walk or ride a bike instead of using a car or bus.
To save water, we could stop taking baths.
But then everyone would stink. Maybe we could just take fewer baths instead.
Or just take showers instead of baths. We would use a lot less water that way.
Questions. 1. Does your family do anything to save water? If so, how? If not, why not? 2. Do you do anything to save electricity? If so, how? If not, why not? 3. What do you do to protect the environment? Answer in detail.
2. Why hunting is wrong. We need to stop hunting animals. That includes fishing too.
But then how would we eat? We'd all have to become vegetarians.
Well, we could do that, of course, and we'd be better off if we did. But we could still eat meat. Hunting, though, is just an unnecessary holdover from past times.
But why should we stop? It's in our nature to hunt.
It's in our nature to do many things. But as we become more civilized, we learn to control our natural instincts.
But you didn't answer my question. Why do we need to stop hunting? What difference does it make?
All living things cohabit this earth. Humans don't own the planet. We share it with other creatures.
But that means viruses and bacteria too. These life forms are killers. If we could eliminate them, wouldn't we all be better off?
All of life is an interconnected chain. If any species dies off, it causes others to perish also. So it is in our own selfish interest to keep that from happening. Questions. 1. Do you think we have a right to kill other animals? Why or why not? 2. Do you think we have a right to kill plants? Why or why not? 3. How can we live harmoniously with animals and plants? Or do you think that is not possible?
3. Energy alternative. I'm worried about the future.
Me too. I haven't studied for my tests next week.
No, that's not what I mean.
What do you mean then?
Well, we are running out of petroleum. There might not even be enough to last through my lifetime. If we don't have gas, what would we do?
There are lots of alternatives. Sunlight, water, air, nuclear power. These are all technologies that are already being used. Besides, hybrid gas-electric engines are also being developed, and alternative fuels such as ethanol.
I'm glad we talked. Now I feel a little better. You sure do know a lot.
Maybe so, but I still have to start studying pretty soon, or my future will be spent entirely at home.
Questions. 1. What would happen if we ran out of petroleum? Besides our automobiles, what else runs on gas? Also, do you know that CDs and computer disks are also petroleum products? 2. Without cars as we know them, how would we get from one place to another? 3. What are some effective substitute sources of energy?
4. Lots of space. We've got to establish space colonies. That's the only answer.
The only answer to what? What are you talking about?
We are overpopulating the Earth too quickly. So we are using up too much land, running out of water, causing too many plant and animal species to become extinct, cutting down too many trees.
Everything looks normal to me. I think you're exaggerating the problem.
No, that's the problem. Nobody is taking it seriously. So by the time we start to do something, it will be too late.
How will having space colonies help? Won't that just use up more energy?
Only at first. But eventually, we'll have new planets we can move to and give Earth a rest.
But what happens when we overpopulate those worlds too? Maybe we should just do something here to solve the problems on our own planet.
Questions. 1. Do you think it's possible to have a space colony? Where? 2. Do you like to read science fiction? Why or why not? 3. Why do many people find sci-fi to be so interesting?
Let's talk more. One, poisoning ourselves. We are killing our land with pesticides. Their purpose is to kill harmful insects that destroy the crops before we can eat them, but they also poison the food we eat. That is why there are so many warnings about food safety. That is why we should also wash all vegetables and fruits before we eat them. But the problem is more subtle than that. For instance, pesticides wash into the lakes and rivers where they are consumed by fish. Then we eat the fish and in the process poison ourselves. Often, the amount of poison is very small, so we don't notice it right away, but it accumulates in our bodies over the course of time and eventually kills us. Questions. 1. Do you think the food you eat every day is safe? Explain your reasons. 2. Are you worried about remnant pesticide in the fruit you eat? What can you do about it? 3. Would you pay more for organic food? Why or why not?
2. At war. The planet is at war against humanity. Witness the rise in typhoons, floods, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and tsunamis. These used to be rather rare occurrences, but have become commonplace. At the same time, the Earth is heating up, causing the glaciers to melt and leading to more droughts worldwide. New diseases are also coming into existence on a regular basis. But as I think about the issue, I realize that the Earth is not really at war with us. More likely, it is acting in self-defense. It is we who are at war with our world, not the other way around. Questions. 1. Name the 5 greatest natural problems and suggest ways of dealing with them. 2. What is the worst weather or natural calamity that you have ever experienced, including rain or extreme temperatures? Describe what happened. 3. Where is the safest place to live? What is the most dangerous place?
3. A better source. Environmentalists have successfully agitated against nuclear energy for decades, but it is actually the best available solution to their most pressing concerns. That is because it is cheap, clean, and renewable, so it can provide modern civilization with the huge amount of energy it needs without the obvious drawbacks of petroleum. Safety, of course, continues to be a major concern. A nuclear disaster could potentially affect millions of people and pose a threat for thousands of years. But it is a danger that can be managed at a cost far below what we routinely pay nowadays for all the problems, economic and ecological alike, associated with carbon-based energy. Questions. 1. What are some problems of petroleum dependence? How might nuclear energy solve them? 2. Why do countries have so much difficulty building new nuclear power plants? 3. If nuclear power is too dangerous, what are the alternatives?
4. Necessary evil. Most people agree that prisons are a necessary evil in any society. If there were no prisons, how could we keep dangerous criminals from threatening innocent citizens? But the prisons themselves are ugly and dangerous, so not many people want to have one in their neighborhood. The same dilemma is posed by many other institutions such as garbage dumps, nuclear power plants, and railroad tracks. They are all clearly important and needed, but they are also unpleasant, noisy, dirty, and potentially hazardous. So we want to have the benefits of all these things, but we don't want to have them next to our homes. That is the explanation for the NIMBY phenomenon, not in my backyard. This is an excellent example of basic human selfishness. We want all the benefits from something, but we don't want any of the inconveniences. Somebody else can have all the problems as long as my own welfare is taken care of. Obviously, governments constantly have to juggle social needs with local protests. They have to figure out ways of minimizing opposition while also actually achieving something that is intended to benefit everyone. Compromises must be reached. Tax incentives or environmental trade-offs must be offered. Or agreements on unrelated issues must be negotiated in order to placate the NIMBY crowd. Questions. 1. Define necessary evil. 2. Can you think of any other projects other than prisons, garbage dumps, power plants, railroad tracks that are so noisy or dirty or dangerous that you would not want them in your neighborhood? 3. How can the NIMBY problem be solved?
Real talk. No more water worries.
Hi, Mom. What's that?
Hi, Fred. That's the new water purifier I just bought.
What's wrong with the tap water? Isn't water all the same?
The government says the water is safe, but I just don't trust it. So I bought this just to be sure. Now we don't have to worry about getting sick from drinking tap water.
Isn't it expensive?
I guess so, but in the long run it's cheaper than buying bottled water.
But we've been drinking tap water all the time, and we haven't gotten sick yet.
I know, but I just don't want to take a chance on drinking unhealthy water.
Sure, Mom, whatever you say, but I don't understand why you're so worried about the water. The air is the real problem. Don't you know how much pollution we breathe every day? What are you going to do about that?
Later on, when I can afford it, I guess I'll have to buy an air filter too. But for the time being, at least, we don't have to worry about the water. Questions. 1. Tap water is almost free, and bottled water is very expensive. But people are buying more and more bottled water. Explain why. 2. Why do you think Fred believes air pollution is a bigger threat than water pollution? 3. Is Fred's mother being realistic, or is she an alarmist? Explain your opinion. Read me. Green is new. Who is responsible for the ongoing environmental disaster? Is it the haves or the have-nots? The developed countries or the undeveloped ones? Or is it everybody? Is our environment destined to get worse and worse? Or can we actually make it better? Even 50 years ago, nobody thought much about pollution. It was regarded as an inevitable byproduct of industrial advance. But then people started to realize how serious the problem actually was, and industrial societies began passing stricter laws to try to reverse the damage. Cars and factories were forced to clean up, and some of the worst problems began to go away. Dead lakes came alive again, and more trees were planted. At the same time, people began to police their own behavior. Recycling became a standard practice, and littering became uncool. But since then, other parts of the world have also developed quickly. In the short term, most of them are still trying to compete economically with the older industrialized nations and are not yet particularly concerned about the long-term problems of pollution. Can the developed world wait for them to catch up in terms of that awareness, or does it need to act aggressively against them? Questions. 1. How can developing countries be persuaded or forced to pay attention to the environment? 2. Is it fair to penalize developing countries for trying to improve the lives of their inhabitants? 3. Are rich developed nations merely being hypocritical in their attitudes toward developing ones? Are they deliberately trying to keep them poor in order to maintain their own superior standards of living?